All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you know what I'm going to ask. Is there anybody here who violated the rules of the court? No one has raised their hand. For those of you in the audience, please understand that the court order prohibits taking still photography or recording these proceedings. If, in fact, that occurs, you will be warned or told about it the first time, and the second time you will be asked to leave the courtroom. Next witness, please.
State calls Detective Kelsey Becker.
Come on up. Please be careful on the ramp. You get to the top, please stand and raise your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Kelsey Becker, K-E-L-S-E-Y, B-E-C-K-E-R.
And how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been employed with the Sheriff's Office?
11 and a half years.
And what is your current position there?
A detective.
And how long have you been a detective?
6 years.
Now, directing your attention to June of 2024, through the course of that employment as a detective, were you assigned to assist with the investigation into the disappearance of Crystal Rasch?
Yes.
And as part of that assignment, were you tasked with requesting and obtaining Facebook records?
Yes.
Can you explain that process briefly?
I put in preservation requests for 4 different accounts, and that's just to freeze the data that's on the accounts. And then I applied for a search warrant, got that signed, and uploaded it to the law enforcement portal via the Facebook.
So did you request specifically Facebook records for an account believed to be that of Zachariah Rasch?
Yes.
Did you receive those records?
Yes.
And did you review those records?
Yes.
Detective Becker, I am showing you what's been previously marked as exhibits 197 through 202. Could you just take a moment and page through those? Have you had an opportunity to review those?
Yes.
And do you recognize those as excerpts from the Facebook records from an account believed to be operated by Zachariah Rasch?
Yes.
I would move admission of exhibits 197, 198, 199, 200, and 201 and 202.
Any objection?
No objection, except for our previously noted objection, Your Honor.
That objection is noted for the record. They are received.
Would also ask permission to publish to the jury.
They may be published.
So directing your attention to the screen, is that the same image as what is before you as exhibit 197?
Yes.
And so just generally, what are we looking at here?
Looks like the first page of the Facebook return, which is giving just account identifier information, when the record was generated by Facebook, the date range of what the request was for, and the name of the account holder, registration date, email associated to the account.
So when Facebook, or I guess technically speaking, Meta provides these records, are they provided looking like this?
Yes,
And are the records divided with these blue banners indicating pages?
yes,
So directing your attention to the middle of the page there, it says date range. Is that the date of the records requested?
yes,
So, in other words, these records would represent what Facebook has for the year 2024, month of January and day 19, through 2024, July 1st.
correct.
Now, before we get into other records, are you aware of what UTC stands for?
Yes.
And what is that?
It stands for the Coordinated Universal Time. And so what that is, it's the global standard of time throughout the world. And then each time zone has an offset to give you your local time of where you're at.
So throughout the records, are the records going to show every time in that UTC?
Correct.
And so here we're in the central time zone. During the summer, are we, is it technically the central daylight time zone?
Yes, so Central Time observes daylight savings, so you have to factor in that the months of November to March, the offset would be -6 hours, and then from the months of March until November would be -5 hours for the offset of UTC.
So then just as an example, we have July 1st, and it just gives, 11:59 p.m. as a date. If we were to consider the local time as compared to that, because that's in July, we would just subtract 5 hours from that time?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at the bottom of Meta Platforms Business Record, page 1, which is at the first half of Exhibit 197, does it indicate the name provided by the person who created the account, at least the name that was inputted at that time?
Yes.
And what is the name that's listed there?
Zach Rasch.
And then on page 2 of that same exhibit, does it have where I'm pointing here, does it have a spot for registered email addresses?
Yes.
And could you read the email addresses associated there?
The verified primary is listed as zachandcrystal2008@gmail.com. And another verified one shows zach.rosh@facebook.com.
And then actually moving back to account identifier here on page 1, can you explain what that is?
So that's just the specific. So if you were to input that into Facebook or into the search bar, it would go right directly to that Facebook profile.
And so that account identifier, that web address represents this specific account, correct?
Yes.
And did you do any investigation into this account to verify that it appeared to be operated by the defendant?
I mean, we inputted it when we were doing the initial investigation. I don't believe there's any profile picture associated to it. But it appeared that that was the one that was being used by him.
All right, now directing your attention to the next page, marked as Exhibit 198. Now, first of all, the text that we're seeing on these pages, the records page 165 and records page 243, The way that these pages show up, do these banners just separate those pages?
Yes,
And so then there would be information above, which refers to the previous page of the records, and then information below that refers to the next page, correct?
correct.
So from what's been excerpted here from page 164 and into 165, it says friend request definition. Can you explain what we're looking at here?
So this is almost just like a glossary of terms as to what each title of what's in the records means.
And so, and this is in the section of the records concerning friend requests.
Yes,
And so if accepted, it will indicate whether or not that request was accepted or not. Is that right?
yes,
And then the time, does that show then the date and time that the request was either accepted or rejected, depending?
yes.
Directing your attention over to the other side, which is the business records, page 243, but still exhibit 198. What do we see here?
Looks like a friend request that Zach Rasch had sent a request to Arlene Bowman, and it appears that she accepted the friend request on June 20th, 2024, around, what is that, 10:10 a.m.?
And would that be our time?
Correct, that would be with the -5 offset.
Going now to page 2 of that same exhibit, so 198, page 2. Can you just explain what we're seeing in this first section?
Same thing again, it's definition or glossary of what each title of you're seeing in the records, so that way you have an understanding as to what you're reading.
And this refers to the like the Facebook messages section, correct?
Yes.
And so where it has, can you tell us what it says after sent?
Sent means date and time of communication sent.
And then down here where it has body, is that then the text of the message that was sent?
Correct.
Directing your attention over to the other side, the business records page 1519, which is still part of page 2 of exhibit 198. What do we see below there?
So this is a one-to-one chat, so it's just two participants, and it's between Arlene Bowman and Zach Rasch. You'll see that the date shows 7/24 of 2024, and that's just showing that date because that's when Facebook or Meta had provided the information to us. It goes up until that time date.
All right, so where it has current participants, it has July 24th, 2024, and that refers to when Facebook or Meta was grabbing these records from.
Correct.
And then what do we see below it?
We see that Zach Rasch sent a message on 6/20 of 2024, and he said, hey.
And so at about what time would that be?
That'd be, so our UTC, the -5 offset would be, it looks like 10:58 a.m.
And that is on June 20th of 2024?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, at this time in the investigation, had Crystal already been missing?
Yes.
And Crystal had already been missing for several days at this point, correct?
Yes.
But had the missing persons report been made yet at this time?
No.
And so can you tell me who initiates this chat?
Looks like Zach Rasch sends the message first to Arlene Bowman.
All right, now going to the next page, which is the same exhibit 198, but page 3. Directing your attention to the left, can you read what Zach Rasch sent here?
Yeah, so on June 20th, 2024, at so -5 in time would be 11:39 a.m. He wrote, "Not bad, been bored as fuck."
And then the next message?
Zach Rasch wrote, "Living the single life."
And that was also on June 20th of 2024, correct?
Correct.
Moving to the other column, can you read the exchange here?
Zach Rasch wrote on June 20th, 2024, at looks like it'd be 10 a.m. our time. "Yep, I'm single. She cheated on me while I was at work." Arlene Bowman responded shortly after that on the same date of June 20th, 2024. She said, "That's so fucked. What's wrong with bitches?" Zach Rasch responded, same date, shortly after that. "Don't know, been single and looking." Arlene Bowman responded shortly after that, same date, and wrote, "LOL, yeah." Zach Rasch, same date, shortly after that, wrote, "Yeah." Zach Rasch again sent another message, same date, shortly after that time, and said, "It sucks being single."
And going now to that same exhibit, but page 4. And just want to clarify, this top message can go back for 1 second to the previous page, sorry. Here do we see that the next message being sent is from that other person, Arlene.
Correct.
And now going to the next page. So then this message here would be from Arlene, correct?
Yes.
Now I want to skip down to this message here that was sent also on June 20th, 2024. Can you please read that message for me?
Zach Rasch wrote on June 20th, 2024, and the offset time would be 10:24 a.m. He wrote, "You know I've always liked you."
And continuing from there.
Arlene Bowman responded on the same date. Shortly after that said, "Yes, I do. That's why I don't bother ever." And no.
And then continuing from there.
Zach Rasch responded, same date, shortly after that, and said, "No what?" And then he sent another one, same date right after that, about an hour difference, and said, "Would like to go out."
And that, so it indicates the author here, and then the body of the message is on the next page. Is that right?
Yes.
And continuing then from there.
Arlene Bowman responded, same date, said, "What you mean?" Zach Rasch responded, same date, "Like, see a movie, maybe a few drinks." Zach Rasch responded again, same date, appears as about another hour later. He said, "It's up to you." Arlene Bowman responded on the same date, shortly later, and said, "Yeah, I would have to let you know."
And then going to the last page of that exhibit 198.
Zach Rasch,
Sorry, go ahead and read off the first message there.
Zach Rasch responded on 6/20/2024, said, "What's your plans for Saturday?" Arlene responded, same date, "I work this weekend."
I'm now directing your attention over to the other side of that exhibit, but the business record page 1527. Can you read that first message?
Yeah, it looks like the name is cut off, but I believe it's a message from Zach Rasch on June 22nd, 2024. Minus the 5 for the time would be 3:28 p.m. He wrote, "Do you know anyone who would want to go see a movie?"
So the bulk of the messages that we talked about up until this point were from June 20th, and this one is from June 22nd. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, now moving on to what's been marked as Exhibit 199. Starting at the top corner here, can you tell us what we're looking at there?
This is the beginning of another one-to-one chat thread message, and the participants is Hope Dupuis and Zach Rasch.
Through your involvement in this case or other investigation, do you know who Hope Dupuis is in relation to the defendant?
That's Zach Rasch's daughter from a previous relationship.
Now, moving down to the bottom left and into the right side there. Sorry, can you go back? First of all, what are we looking at as we go into these portions of the exhibit?
This appears to be images of a handgun that Zach Rasch sends to Hope Dupuis on February 20th of 2024.
And what do we see indicated in the picture here?
It's a picture of a Taurus handgun.
And then here, we have messages from Zach Rasch.
Yes.
Can you indicate what those say?
Zach Rasch writes on February 20th, 2024, "My new toy." He again sends another message right after that, says Taurus 9mm, and Hope Dupuis sends another message back and says, on the same date, "Looks nice."
And then going to the next page of that exhibit. So again, that's Exhibit 199, page 2. Does this also capture another portion of messages between the defendant and Hope?
I would believe so. It just doesn't say Hope's name on it.
But it does indicate this is a message from the defendant, correct?
Correct.
And what is this picture of?
Looks like the concealed carry license with his name on it.
And does the defendant send a message right before sending that photo?
Yes.
And what is that message, the text of that?
So Zach Rasch writes on March 30th, 2024, "I can officially carry now."
Then moving on to the next page, the third page of that exhibit. Is this a continuation of messages between Zach Rasch and Hope?
Yes.
And what is sent on the left side here?
It appears to be a picture, like a selfie style, of Zach Rasch taking a picture of his handgun in the holster on his hip.
And does Zach send a message here on the other side regarding that?
Yes.
And what is the text there?
Zach Rasch writes on April 9th, 2024, "The holster came in and right away I had to use it."
And those messages are from April 9th of 2024.
Correct.
Going on to the next page, the fourth page of Exhibit 199. Is this a continuation of some messages between the defendant and Hope?
Yes.
And starting at the top here, who sent the initial message that you see there?
Zach Rasch sent that message.
And the date sent indicates the year 2024, June 12th at 0000 hours 31 minutes UTC. Can you convert that into local time for June?
So it actually would be then on June 11th, 2024 at 7:31 p.m.
And could you read the message there?
Zach Rasch writes, "Have you heard from Crystal?"
And continuing from there, the exchange.
Hope Dupuis responds on the same date of June 11th, 2024. "No, I have not." Zach Rasch writes back shortly after that, same date. "Okay." And then he sends another one a little while later on the same date and said, "She always talks to you." Hope Dupuis responds back on the same date, "She hasn't today." Hope Dupuis sends another message on the same date. "Last I heard was other day when she said the basement around here weren't good, and I even told her that most probably won't be because it's an older area." Zach Rasch responds on the same date, shortly after that, and says, "Okay."
And then does the conversation continue onto the next side of that page?
Yes. So it appears that Zach Rasch sends another message. This date's going to be June 13th, 2024. And he said, "She is ignoring again." Hope Dupuis responds back, "Damn, that sucks." Zach Rasch responds again and says, "Yeah."
Then moving on to, I believe, the last page of Exhibit 199. Can you continue with the messages that are sent here on that page?
Zach Rasch sends a message on June 21st, 2024, and he says, "Have you heard from Crystal?" Hope Dupuis responds back on the same date, shortly after, and says, "Not since June 10th. Zach Rasch sends another message shortly after that and says, "Wow." Zach Rasch sends another message shortly after that and says, "I think I pissed her off really bad." Hope Dupuis responds shortly after that on the same date and says, "Oh yeah."
And does that message continue on to the next side of that page?
Yes.
And could you please continue with the content of those messages?
Hope Dupuis responds on, this date shows it would be June 25th, 2024 with the offset of the -5 hours. So it would be 9:59 p.m. And she wrote, "You hear from Crystal yet?" On the same date, Zach Rasch responds, "A few words." Hope Dupuis responds shortly after that, well, a couple hours later after that, and says, "Dang." And then she sends another follow-up message on the same date. "She never opened up the photos I sent her of the kids almost a week ago." Zach Rasch responded right after that on the same date and said, "She messaged on a different account." Hope Dupuis responded to that on the same date and said, "Oh, weird." Zach Rasch responded after that and said, "Yeah."
And now directing your attention to the next exhibit marked Exhibit 200. Can you just summarize what we're looking at here?
So again, this is another message thread of Zach Rasch communicating with a Greg Klumpers. And it's believed that this would be through a Facebook Marketplace messaging for this specific car.
And both this and then the next page, let me just go to the next page, of Exhibit 200. Is this a conversation regarding the purchase of a Chevy Cobalt?
Yes.
And is that between the defendant and this other person on Facebook?
Correct.
Ultimately, does the seller, if you will, indicate that the listing for this Chevy Cobalt is listed as sold?
Yes.
Is that consistent with the content of the message between those two?
Yes.
And just can you tell us the date that these messages were sent? Or I should say the dates that these messages were sent.
So it looks like the first message was sent on June 18th of 2024, and they communicated until June 19th of 2024.
All right, now directing your attention to Exhibit 201. Do you have that image in front of you?
Yes.
And again, just starting over on the left side, what can you tell us that we're looking at based on what you see there?
It's another one-to-one chat message thread with a Janet Brown and Zach Rasch.
And can you see who initiates this conversation?
Zach Rasch sends the first message on the date technically would be June 11th, 2024 with the -5 hours offset.
So would that be June 11th at 11:36 p.m.?
Correct.
And just going over to the other side where the messages continue, could you just run through those messages?
Janet Brown on June 12th, 2024, with the offset hours would be, looks like 1 a.m. Wrote, "How are you doing?" Zach Rasch responds on the same date, "Okay, and you?" Janet Brown responds, says, "Where are you from?" Zach Rasch responds on the same date, "Wisconsin, and you?" Janet Brown responds, same date, "What are you looking for?" Zach Rasch responds, same date, says, "Serious relationship, and you?" Janet Brown responds, same date, "I'm looking for fun and see where it leads."
So this first message over here, our time was sent June 11th, 11:36, correct?
Correct.
And these messages over here continue on to what would be here, Zach Rasch's response on the 12th. That would be the 12th at 2:27 a.m. our time.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I did the math wrong. Yep.
And then this conversation continues throughout what would be the 12th, right?
Yes.
All right, and now directing your attention to Exhibit 202. First of all, can you just tell me what type of records from Facebook that we're looking at here?
This looks like the portion where anytime you make any comments on any pages, it collected that data.
And are these comments that would have been made by this Facebook account?
Yes.
Directing your attention here, can you indicate the time of this Facebook comment?
Yeah, so that would be with the -5 hour offset, it would put the date of June 22nd, 2024 at 10:05 p.m.
And could you just read the content of that comment?
Says, Zach Rasch commented on Scott's lawn care and snow removals post. "Stay off the property of 730 Main Street in Kleinman. You are not welcome on the property. I am the property owner. Brenda isn't even supposed to be living in the house anymore. Eviction paperwork is in the process of being served on her. to be removed from the property. You have been trespassing on private property without the owner's consent to mow the grass.
And to your knowledge, is this the address where Crystal Rasch had been living?
Yes.
Now, we have reviewed a number of excerpts from the Facebook records. This wasn't all of the records that you received from Facebook, correct?
No.
In referring you back to Exhibit 199, that's where the defendant sent a picture of the Taurus gun to Hope, correct?
Yes.
Through your review of the records, was that a picture that he sent to multiple contacts?
Yeah, I think he sent another photo to maybe, I think it was his son, his other adult son.
I have no further questions.
Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, Detective.
Hello.
Good afternoon. We're quite there yet. So I'm going to talk about the posts of the firearm and the CCW card and the holster. And so in this case, is Exhibit 199, the photograph of the Taurus 9mm that was broadcast or sent to his daughter and his son.
Yes.
Correct? All right, so he was broadcasting it on the internet that he owns this gun, right?
Correct.
And in your investigation, you know that this gun was lawfully purchased, correct?
Yes.
From a licensed firearm dealer, correct?
Yes.
Then on 199-2, he broadcast on the internet for everyone to see that he had a CCW.
Correct.
All right. Now, for a CCW, you have to apply for that, correct?
Yes, and take a class.
And take a class. That's my next question. And obviously here again, he's broadcasting that he has taken the class and he has applied and has been accepted, correct?
Correct.
And then lastly, the picture of on 199-3 is just a photograph of a holster that he purchased for the firearm, correct?
Yes.
And would you agree that when people buy firearms, they have it sometimes would tend to buy accessories to the firearms like holsters or sights and things like that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, nothing further. Thank you.
Redirect.
None.
All right, you can step down. Next witness, please.